Manuel Ugarte is currently on his way to England to complete a move to Manchester United. On Tuesday, Manchester United have reached an agreement and now has the medical schedule for the midfield talent. The Red Devils have finally got their man. Manuel Ugarte was the club's first choice midfield target throughout the entire summer, and a deal has now been agreed. Fabrizio Romano confirmed that a deal has been sealed for Ugarte with United and Paris Saint-Germain in complete agreement over terms and the final fee. United are set to pay £50 million for Ugarte, with an initial £42.2 million being reported, with an additional £8.4 million in add-ons. It is a cheaper deal than many expected, and perhaps reflects the fact that Ugarte was crazy about joining United this summer. The add-ons are based on his performance and success, which make it a great deal for United, considering the club initially looked likely to need to pay an upfront £51 million. This is yet another example of the new footballing structure at Old Trafford getting it spot on. Both clubs will likely leave happy from the Ugarte negotiations. United have landed their first choice midfield target, and PSG recouped the money spent on him. Not only have PSG earned £50 million from his sale, but they could earn millions more in the future after attaching a sell-on clause in the deal. According to Ben Jacobs on X, PSG have retained a 10% sell-on clause in the Ugarte deal. However, with United valuing Ugarte as one of the best young midfielders in Europe, it doesn't seem likely that he will be moving on anytime soon. Regardless, it shows that PSG are backing Ugarte to succeed at Old Trafford if they believe he could secure a big money move away in the future. After securing defensive depth with the double deal for Matthijs de Ligt and Nisa Mazraoui, a new midfielder was a top priority. Ugarte ticks every box and looks as though he could thrive in Erik ten Hag's system. He is a relentless runner, has a superb defensive work rate, and is comfortable receiving the ball from defense and progressing it. Kobbie Mainoo is set to be a big winner from Ugarte's arrival. The 19-year-old now has a long-term midfield partner to work with for the next decade. With a medical on Tuesday, we imagine that Ugarte will be in training with his new teammates from Wednesday onwards, which could give him 4 days before Sunday's game. If he clicks well, it would be a wise decision to throw him straight into the starting lineup, with midfield being a huge problem as Brighton overran the current pairing with ease. We saw during pre-season that Casemiro cannot cope with a quick and dynamic midfield, something Liverpool have already displayed. Therefore, Ugarte should start, but so much will depend on the condition he is in and how quickly he and Mainoo can develop an understanding. It's obvious Manchester United are gearing up for a hectic end to the transfer window, as they could finalise multiple outgoings and incoming before August 30th. Some of these look like a formality now, pending official announcement, like Manuel Ugarte's transfer to Manchester United or Scott McTominay to Napoli, but there is a Jadon Sancho named Cloud that hangs over Old Trafford. After falling out of favour again with Erik ten Hag by not making 2 consecutive matchday squads, the noise around his future became loud. Juventus entered the conversation, and Chelsea also reportedly floated the idea of a swap deal, and now Fabrizio Romano has dropped a big update on the winger's situation. Sancho is a difficult one to solve because of how high his wages are, a legacy of the Ed Woodward, Glazers era that continued to plague Ineos. As such, getting rid of him permanently was always going to be a tricky proposition, which has proven to be the case. However, speaking on his YouTube channel, Fabrizio Romano has shared an optimistic update of movements around Sancho to Juventus. He said that the deal with the Serie A side remains absolutely on, and now the player is having conversations with Juventus, along with club-to-club talks. Sancho is now open to moving to Juventus, with the only hold-up right now being the stance of United on the move. United have accepted that a permanent transfer immediately is not realistic, but they want to include a mandatory buy option to any loan deal for this season. Juventus, on the other hand, are insisting on only an option to buy, which could leave United in a tricky position next summer if Sancho returns again. Meanwhile, Sancho is discussing initial salary details with them, with talks held on what percentage can be covered, boosted recently by news of Federico Chiesa's potential departure in Italy. Romano also said that Chelsea are not in active talks for Sancho, but they see him as an opportunity to pounce upon if his move to Juventus fails. They are willing to take it to the final hours of the deadline day in a waiting game, which is when they will look to propose a swap deal if Sancho hasn't gone to Juventus by then. United might be forced to wait and see how the dominoes fall around them, but they should just bite the bullet with Sancho at this point. If Ten Hag doesn't intend to use him at all, then even paying a portion of wages for a season is a better deal than having him around the dressing room sulky. Even if Sancho returns next summer, he will do so with one less year remaining on his contract, thus making him a more palatable transfer for prospective interested sides. Sancho is turning out to be one of the costliest mistakes by the Glazers regime, which is remarkable when you think about how many of those there have been. For Ineos to start afresh, they need to take this financial hit and write it off as the cost of doing business in the long term. What do you think? Is Manuel Ugarte a good addition? Is it time for Sancho to move on? Share your thoughts in the comments section below.